Bible prophecy is active and unfolding daily. Zechariah 12, Isaiah 17, Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38. Here is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's newscast, and let me tell you, a newscast unlike any I have ever reported so far. You might even want to take notes. Today's newscast, there's more going on than I have ever seen any week since I started. From the U.S. State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert said last week, quote, "The United States is gravely alarmed by continued allegations of the use of chlorine gas by the Syrian regime to terrorize innocent civilians, this time in Idlib province near Sarakib. This attack is the sixth such reported instance in the past 30 days in Syria. We implore the international community to speak with one voice, taking every opportunity to publicly pressure the Assad regime and its supporters to cease its use of chemical weapons and hold these responsible accountable for these brutal attacks." Close quote. Then from Israel Hayom, Hezbollah recently purchased over 100 acres of land in Druze areas near Lebanon's Khuf Mountains for the purpose of storing missiles there. Hezbollah believes Israel would be wary of attacking Druze areas. Now, I have something to share. Look at this. This gorgeous piece of wood, all laminated. This, see if I can get it, where do I need to put it? Here we go. This, my friends, was given to me. Dear Alan, thank you for helping my mom and I find the pieces of the puzzle. Love, from Jovan Taylor. Ox. Look at this, man. Wood burning. We got the pitching of tents. All the audio go all the way around, except one is missing. Oh, geez, it's over here on over here. Where's my hand? There we go. And it's sod. I don't know. Maybe he didn't put it there because I'm wearing it. Anyway, thank you, Jovan. I will definitely hang that up on my wall and enjoy it. You know, I appreciate gifts like this. There's a lot of work involved. Now, Brad Scott, we had Brad Scott on last Thursday's live stream, and I wanted to get him on again this coming Thursday to continue because it was so much fun. Plus, we ended with a cliffhanger. And well, this month is Scott's anniversary with his wife, Carol. So they're doing some traveling, and I talked with Scott yesterday. This coming Thursday, he will not be available for the live stream. But the following week, on February 22nd, it's looking pretty good. So I'll firm this up in next week's newscast. But I'm looking forward to continuing our conversation with Dr. Brad Scott. Then I also spoke with Scott Clark, and we're thinking maybe March 8th might be a time for us to have Scotty on the live stream, where you can ask Scotty the questions that you have. I'm sure you have some. But we'll have to wait and see how my schedule rolls around. If I'm still on a day schedule, then certainly we'll have Scotty on the live stream for March 8th. Otherwise, I'll give you an update before then. Now, also, I put up a video playlist for the entire book of Bereshit, Genesis, all 50 chapters. I'll have a link for you below. If you haven't watched that, please go ahead and watch it. It's not only, a very, very powerful book. It's the beginning of everything. But I took a lot of time presenting the book of Genesis for you, my friends. I transliterated each and every verse personally, looking at the original languages and rewording the English to my best ability to deliver to you the most accurate English translation of the Father's Word in the book of Bereshit, Genesis, that there is. Now, also, we have started the work of bringing that book into an e-book for you. And I had some conversations also this week on someone else who wants to take that work and is willing to finance it himself, to bring it into a hard copy, free for everyone. So we're looking to do that. I'd love to do the entire, all 66 books, but it would take years. And I don't know how long we're going to be here at this point, especially after today's newscast, my friends. But I don't know. One book at a time. We're starting off with Genesis. My version of Genesis, ebook and hard copy, soon to come. Turning to wars and rumors of wars. Wow! This is the biggest wars and rumors of wars report I have ever done, my friends. The UN Commission of Inquiry on Syria said last week that it had received multiple reports of bombs containing weaponized chlorine being used in the town of Serakeb in Idlib and Douma in eastern Ghouta. The chemical attacks keep coming despite an agreement with Russia, which was struck back in 2013, on the destruction of Assad's chemical weapons. That agreement did not include chlorine. The most recent attacks were all chlorine-based. Syria's war is escalating on multiple fronts, my friends. And from The Guardian, UK, residents of the besieged Syrian enclave of eastern Ghouta have endured a relentless bombardment campaign by the government of Bashar al-Assad that has so far killed more than 200 people in the past 4 days. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said 59 civilians, including 15 children, were killed last Thursday alone. And from Ynet News, the IDF Northern Command recently began work on a high concrete wall along the Lebanese border at high-risk spots near Israeli towns and kibbutzim to prevent infiltration by Hezbollah special forces into Israel. The wall is being constructed exclusively on Israeli territory. Then on Wednesday, February 7th, from CNN, the U.S.-led coalition fighting ISIS in Syria conducted air and artillery strikes against pro-regime forces, killing over 100 fighters. The strikes were carried out after forces allied with Assad initiated an unprovoked attack against Syrian Democratic Forces headquarters, where U.S. advisors were stationed. The action was taken in self-defense. Then from Haaretz, Israeli missiles targeted a research center in Jamraya near Damascus. From Ynet News, 50 Gazans are fighting for ISIS in Sinai. The Hezbollah-affiliated Lebanese newspaper Al-Akhbar reported last week. Gazans who went in to fight in Iraq, Syria, and Libya have returned to Sinai to battle Hamas there under ISIS backing. From the Middle East Monitor UK, the Egyptian Defense Ministry has asked all hospitals to be prepared for a wide-scale military operation in northern Sinai. According to Al-Arabi Al-Jadid, the operation will evacuate people within 5 kilometers of Al-Arish International Airport, and heavy military reinforcements have been reported as having arrived in Al-Arish. Then from Al-Arabi Al-Jadid, Egypt's army is bulldozing homes and olive groves to build a buffer zone around the Al-Arish airport in an operation that will displace thousands of people. Then on Saturday, February 10th, wow, from Arab News, Saudi Arabia, the military escalation between Israel and Iran in Syria shows that Iran is at the helm of what remains of Assad's military and has supplanted any semblance of Syrian sovereignty. The Assad regime's military suffered a major blow as a result of Iran's military incursion, and the Israeli Air Force counterattack destroyed a significant portion of Assad's long-range SA-5 integrated air defense network outside Damascus. Then from the Times of Israel, Iran and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's Quds Force, for some time now, have been operating the T4 air base in Syria next to Palmyra with support from the Syrian military and with permission from the Syrian regime. An Israeli military official said the T4 base is being used by Iran to transport advanced weaponry to Syria, Hezbollah, and Shiite militias in the region. It's part of a process of a force buildup against Israel. Things are escalating in huge ways this week, my friends. Then from Ynet News, Saturday's events marked an initiated action that started with the launch of an Iranian drone into Israel and progressed with massive anti-aircraft fire against fighter jets that attacked within Syria in retaliation for the drone's encroachment, and included the downing of an Israeli fighter jet and an extensive attack on Iranian military assets in Syria. The Iranian drone was launched from the T4 military airbase, one of Syria's largest airfields, which is routinely used by the Russian Air Force, as well as by Iranian agents. Buddies going on there. And note, the attack on the base needed to be carried out with surgical precision to avoid hitting any Russian military aircraft or personnel. Then, from Israel Defense Forces, Iran launched an unmanned area vehicle from Syria, violating Israeli sovereign airspace. The Israel Air Force intercepted the UAV and destroyed it, and then targeted the control vehicle from which the UAV was operated in the Syrian T4 airbase near Tadmor. During the attack, multiple surface-to-air missiles were launched at IAF aircraft and hit an F-16 fighter jet I just mentioned previously. The two pilots were forced to eject and parachuted to safety in Israeli territory. The IDF then targeted 12 military objectives, including 3 air defense batteries and 4 targets that are part of Iran's military establishment in Syria. Quote, "We carried out a wide-scale attack on the air defense system, radars, rockets, batteries, posts in the biggest and most significant attack the Air Force has carried out against Syrian air defenses since 1982, said IAF Brigadier General Amnon Eindar. Quoting again, "What we've known for a long time is now clear to everyone. Iran wants to establish a front in Syria that is aimed at harming Israel," said Major General Yoel Strick, head of the Northern Command. A lot going on. Then on Sunday, February 11th, from the Daily Mail UK, an Israeli fighter was shot down as the country's Air Force carried out attacks against Iranian targets in Syria after intercepting a drone. The military said its planes faced massive anti-aircraft fire from Syria that forced the 2 pilots we've been talking about from other reports to abandon their F-16 jet that crashed in northern Israel, seriously wounding one and lightly injuring the other. Man. Turning to our Intifada update. On Wednesday, February 7th, from Haaretz, the man who was responsible for the January 9th murder of Rabbi Raziel Shevach was killed by Israeli security forces last week in the West Bank village of Yamun when he emerged from a building with an M16 rifle. Then from the Jerusalem Post, 29-year-old Rabbi Itamar Ben-Gal was standing on the sidewalk near a bus stop outside of Ariel in the West Bank last week when a 19-year-old Israeli Arab got out of a van on the other side of the road, crossed the highway, and stabbed Ben-Gal in the chest. A security camera captured the moment of the attack, as well as the assailant fleeing the scene in a passing vehicle. Then from the Times of Israel, an Israeli security guard was stabbed in the hand last Wednesday when an M&M attacked him with a knife in the West Bank. A second guard shot and killed the M&M. Turning to our review of last week's news. The United States is gravely alarmed by the continued use of chlorine gas by the Syrian regime to terrorize innocent civilians. The UN Commission of Inquiry on Syria has received multiple reports of bombs containing weaponized chlorine being used in Idlib and Douma. Hezbollah has purchased over 100 acres of land in Druze areas near Lebanon's Kuf Mountains for the purpose of storing missiles. Residents of the besieged Syrian enclave of eastern Ghouta have endured a relentless bombardment by the government of Bashar al-Assad that has so far killed more than 200 people in the past 4 days. The IDF Northern Command has begun work on a high concrete wall along the Lebanese border. The U.S.-led coalition fighting ISIS in Syria conducted air and artillery strikes against pro-regime forces, killing more than 100 fighters. Israeli missiles targeted a research center in Jamraya near Damascus. 50 Gazans are fighting for ISIS in Sinai. The Egyptian Defense Ministry has asked all hospitals to be prepared for a wide-scale military operation in northern Sinai. Egypt's army is bulldozing homes and olive groves to build a buffer zone around the Al Arish airport, displacing thousands of people. The military escalation between Israel and Iran in Syria shows that Iran is at the helm of what remains of Assad's military and has supplanted any semblance of Syrian sovereignty. Iran and the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Quds Force are operating the T4 air base in Syria next to Palmyra with support from the Syrian military. Iran launched an unmanned aerial vehicle from Syria, violating Israeli sovereign airspace. Saturday's events mark an initiated action that started with the launch of an Iranian drone into Israel and progressed with massive anti-aircraft fire against fighter jets that attacked within Syria in retaliation for the drone's encroachment, and included the downing of an Israeli fighter jet and an extensive attack on Iranian military assets in Syria. I've never gone so long on the review. And, forcing those two pilots to abandon their jet, crashing in northern Israel, seriously wounding one, lightly injuring the other. Then Rabbi Itamar Ben-Gal was stabbed in the chest by a 19-year-old Israeli Arab, and an Israeli security guard was stabbed in the hand when an M&M attacked him with a knife in the West Bank. And that, my friends, is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Abba willing, I'll see you here again next week. Until then, keep your wicks trimmed and keep your lamps ablaze. Shalom, my friends.
Crowded rooms, I need more space than I consume. Enough is time alone with you, underneath a naked moon, sharing confidential moods and making chatter. Mockingbird nocturnal sings notations of eternal things, entering the quantum breeze, flying not for want of wings. He lights his gaze on you and me, simply because we matter.